Here we are. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is the Final Fantasy Entertainment and Podcast Network, Final Fan TV, and we're back with the Final Fantasy 16 backdrop. It looks good. It feels good to be back. And with me to talk about Final Fantasy 16, the Rising Tide DLC, and just kind of, not like a farewell, but kind of like, celebrating Final Fantasy 16. And we're going to look to the future of Final Fantasy and talk about Final Fantasy 17 and how basically we can take the best of 16 and Rebirth and craft the perfect Final Fantasy. Joined with me is Vincent Fallow, the German voice of Clive Rosfiled.
Hi, welcome everyone. We're gonna have so much fun tonight, and I'll be definitely ultra super hyped for the questions and the statements that you guys gave. So yeah, let's get it started. Let's tackle this thing. I'm stoked. I'm hyped.
Awesome, man. Well, it's good to have you here. I have the chat box is not working, so I'll fix that while we're talking. But yeah, man, let's jump right into it. I want to start off with saying, like, hey, the Rising Tide, it's been out for about maybe 2 weeks. It certainly got wet. It got wet.
Yeah. Dude. Man, that shield phase with Leviathan, that got wet.
Yeah, that was, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely got a couple of game overs there. I refused to look it up. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out on my own, but I don't know why I'm dying multiple times. But yeah, it was basically like a DPS thing. You needed to just inflict as much damage as you possibly could within a certain amount of time before Leviathan uses his basically final attack, and it's an automatic game over. So there will be probably going to be talking spoilers in this episode. Slight spoilers for the Rising Tide DLC. But basically my review of it, and I'll just give my quick review of the Rising Tide right now. I think the Rising Tide was freaking awesome, man. Like I loved the gameplay is king in these DLCs, both Rising Tide and Echoes of the Fallen. The gameplay was probably peak Final Fantasy 16. Like, out of the entire game, in my opinion, I would give the edge to Echoes of the Fallen in terms of Clive combat. Like, Clive combat, dude, Echoes of the Fallen had some amazing fights, some amazing battles. I was telling you before the show started, the freaking the eyeball. What is it?
Yeah, the Angra Mainyu thing.
Yes, yeah. Even that battle was amazing. And then so Echoes of the Fallen, I give it to Echoes of the Fallen for the combat for Clive. And then with Rising Tide, we get some more great combat, especially with the Timekeeper, which is, I think, the highlight for a lot of people, because that one kind of carried on the Echoes of the Fallen using the area of effect, like Final Fantasy 14 style, where you have to like kind of move around. I love that, dude. I love that.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And we're going to talk about that being in 17, because that is one of the things I think needs to carry over. But so Timekeeper, amazing battle. I love at the end when like it was like he just stops time or it moves time really slow, and he's just going all around, and you just gotta like time it perfectly when you need to dodge. Amazing. And then
so good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Man, so the Timekeeper was a great like final battle for Clive, and then you go into Leviathan, right? So I think it was Tim Geddes from Kinda Funny had posted this on Twitter, because I was going to try and word it my way, right? No, I'm going to take exactly what he said, because I was like,
nice.
It repeats over and over in my head. I'm like, he said something on Twitter. He was like, there's nothing quite like the build up to an icon versus icon battle. There is really nothing quite like it. Like that tension, that hype that is building.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's just these Azura's Wrath vibes from that like PS3 game. It's just that, and it's just so well done. It's anime 100%. It's over the top. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And like, so in this instance, for the Rising Tide, from in my opinion, is probably, if not the coolest looking environment I have ever seen in Final Fantasy. Like, I think I think I can like give you the broad spectrum of the entire Final Fantasy series franchise. That was probably the coolest, most breathtaking, awe-inspiring like environment to walk through. Was the surge, the frozen wave, the tidal wave frozen in time. And when you start, you see it from a distance when you start the DLC. And even in 16, you can see it off the shore, and you're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
And they finally get to it, and you see it off in the distance, and even that vista looks amazing. Like, as soon as you walk out into Mysidia, or, you're looking overlooking Mysidia.
Yeah.
And you see it off in the distance, and you're just like, that looks really cool. And then you get closer. And then there's a freaking, just a mission or whatever where you walk into the frozen tidal wave. And I'm looking around this environment, seeing the waves. It was so beautiful, dude. Like, amazing. And I had to stop. I literally stopped a couple times just to look around.
Nice. That's when you you got some good stuff on your hands. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And I mean, God, like, and that's all of Final Fantasy, and maybe even just in my gaming like career, bro. I freaking loved that artistic vision. That artistic vision was mind-blowing. So you get to walk in there, you see Leviathan's dominant, you learn more about Leviathan's dominant, and why Leviathan wasn't in 16, like the base game. And all of that was really cool. You finally get to fight Leviathan. When you're approaching Leviathan, going back to what I was saying about that tension, dude. They put the weather like starts getting like it's a hurricane, like it's freaking rain everywhere. I'm like, whew, I love this, dude. Like it got wet, bro.
It got wet. Kind of like a callback to when you first encountered Garuda.
Oh yeah.
With the wind and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar vibes. It was so cool. I needed that.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. It was very much like that Garuda, like approaching Garuda type thing. And you're approaching the surge, the frozen, the wave frozen in time, and like, and you're pushing through this hurricane thing. You get to Leviathan. Leviathan was. I mean, you think about icon versus icon. You're building up to that moment. You know it's coming, and you're so freaking hype. You finally get another icon versus icon, and I think it delivers. I think it delivered on a really like cinematic thing, like going through the what do you call that? Is that a cyclone when it's a water tornado?
Yeah, like a tsunami kind of thing.
Yeah, like you're going through and like Leviathan's like going in and out of the water tornado thing, and you're just fighting them. Like it reminded me of Titan when Titan
exactly that.
Yeah. And I'm like, how tall is this tornado? I don't know what's
it goes on forever, I guess.
Yeah. I'm falling for quite a while. But it was awesome, not complaining at all. And then you get to you're basically on water, which was so cool. It makes you use all of your abilities as Ifrit, kind of testing your ability there. I mean, I can't really compare it to much because that's what icon versus icon is supposed to be. It's supposed to be very unique. So I would say it's more of a skill challenge for your skill with the icon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, or like we talked about a little bit, was that basically seemingly impossible moment where you're like, how do I freaking beat this moment? Thankfully, if you die, you just you're kind of right back at it. So it wasn't too punishing.
Luckily.
Right. And then there was that moment where I had to figure it out on my own, where it was creating this almost whirlpool, and it was pulling you into the center. and I had to jump up and then dash away. That was how you get out of that. If anybody's watching this and stuck on that moment, that's how you do it, because I swear I was like, how do you dodge this? I don't know if you can do a perfect dodge or not, but like you just jump up and dash out of the way. Anyways, dude, yeah,
nice.
So it was so good to me, in my opinion. My gripes with it, my criticism of the DLC was that I was kind of upset, or not upset, but disappointed in a way, that it had no implication, no impact on the final. Yeah, there's
yeah, man. We were promised some good Jill stuff. At the PAX panel. I was like, oh my god, there's Jill stuff. Holy fuck. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna play it. And then it turned out that there was not that much Jill stuff, and Joshua was just kind of there, and I was a little bit sad.
yeah, and I was like, oh man, Joshua really didn't do anything. He was just kind of like, he kind of just stayed off to the side. But yeah, no, they didn't really get into Jill stuff too much. They weren't lying completely, I guess, because there was like some implications of like, here's Shiva's former dominant. And then like Shiva's Warden of the Ice, or not Warden of the Ice. What was Torgal? The one, the Protector or whatever.
Yeah, basically like a piece of Shiva's power within Fenrir.
That's right.
And that got carried over.
Yeah, so you got to see that, that's the previous iteration of Shiva. So you got to kind of get that part. She looks very, very similar to Jill. If that was, I thought that was it might be related. Probably is. That's how it works. But yeah, I mean,
true though.
So yeah, I mean, like it wasn't super story heavy in my opinion for like that part. There was a really nice send-off scene if you do all of the side quests, all of the, complete the story of Rising Tide and do all the side quests. There was this really cool scene, I really liked it, where they were basically initiating into the tribe, the dominant of Leviathan, like bringing the baby in. And you kind of got to hear Clive, he had to do the witness, right? He was the role of the witness, and he had to make a speech and all that other stuff. So I thought that was really cool. He was like, I was trying not to miss the forehead with a drop of water. Like it's like that's all. So it was a nice little moment there. But yeah, and then Shula, which is the new character, she says, what does she say? She says, until the tides bring you back to shore, we'll be waiting for you until the tides bring you back to shore. And I'm like,
they will. yeah, that was pretty cool. I still don't know if that's actually one of their kind of like goodbye phrases that they have in the culture there.
Yeah,
on Mysidia. Could be, but it was perfect foreshadowing. It was.
Exactly. So it was like foreshadowing, and then it was kind of like, what are you trying to tell me here? Just show me, please. But I mean, they leave it up to interpretation still. So there's that. But man, I freaking loved it, and I'm glad I played it. And yeah, and thank you so much to Square Enix for providing the code. So I really appreciate that as well. So
thank you, Square.
Thank you, Square. Oh man, it's kind of bitter, man. It's a bittersweet moment because I'm not ready to say goodbye to Final Fantasy 16, and I know it's not goodbye because I haven't said goodbye to any of the other Final Fantasies. I keep playing them every year, so it's not goodbye. But man, I just want more of 16, and so what I want to do now is I kind of want to just kind of celebrate 16 and talk about what it means to us. Now, clearly, this is going to mean a lot to you. So I want to kind of get your thoughts on this, and like basically, what does Final Fantasy 16 like? What is the impact that it's made on you, and why is it so important to you? And then just basically your thoughts on 16.
Oh yeah, I mean it's pretty hard to summarize that, but holy damn, holy damn. I still remember vividly when I got the audition slides for it, and they were just like, hush, hush. Yeah, it's just like a silly little game. Just read the lines, send them to us. Do it with your phone. You know, it doesn't matter. And I instantly knew what it was, and I was just freaking out. So like from that point on, from the beginning, I was amped up. I was like, I was practically high. Like, it was adrenaline pumping through my veins like the entire time. It felt like I was carrying, or like yeah, I had the honor of carrying something that means the world to me on my shoulders with my performance for the German audience, of course, and Kalia. Yeah, but yeah, that was a huge responsibility. It's literally the same as Ben Starr said. We both were so damn nervous about it, but at the same time, I think that brought us just so much closer to the feeling that we have when we play Final Fantasy by ourselves. So like we get to shape this epic fantasy, this story that just will stick with people until the end of time. Like some people, I know, like I will love every Final Fantasy, almost every Final Fantasy, until I leave this earthly realm. So being a part of that and being like done with it, it kind of feels like Clive in the end. IRL a little bit, because the world continues without us, without me and without Ben and without the other amazing actors in the other languages. And yeah, we passed the torch and we'll see what happens. But the journey itself was so, you cannot comprehend how much it means to me, and I can't find the words really to describe it, but it was my Final Fantasy. To me, it was my Final Fantasy, and I lived it. Every single line, every syllable, every battle effort. I just lived it. I breathed that. And there is no greater honor for me personally, and probably in my life, than doing this and being able to actually wow people with that. Yeah. You know? Yeah. You know, people can say, you know what? That was amazing. That was a good game. That was a great Final Fantasy, and if that happens at the end of the game, because we have these Final Fantasy cycles, of course, every time, like new Final Fantasy comes out, everyone hates it, and yada yada yada. It's kind of the same always. But if in the end it will not be forgotten, I'll be a very happy man.
I think overall, the general consensus, in my opinion, would be that 16 was a fantastic Final Fantasy. I think a lot of people would agree with that. I mean, there was that vocal minority, I think, that was kind of I mean, and they're not wrong to think what they think. I mean, it's not it's definitely not a, you know, if you don't like the game, that's fine. Yeah. But man, I actually sent out a survey to kind of get an idea of what people thought. I asked on Twitter, you know, comment, let me know what does 16 mean to you? Why is it so important to you? And I'm going to read those in just a moment. But thank you for sharing that, because I want to say thank you for your performances. Shout out to Kalia in chat right now. Kalia has been, you know, sharing your like little snippets of the German dub of 16, and I get to hear your performances through that. I personally haven't tried it yet, and I'm you know, Kali has convinced me. I'm like, man, I gotta get, you know, I love you, man. You're a very big supporter of Final Fan TV. You've been, you know, huge encouragement for me to keep doing this. And when I watch out, dude, okay. Someone's gonna
just like car, like,
whoa, man.
Yeah, we're live. It happens.
So yeah, man, it's been awesome. I definitely want to do that. But before I start reading the fan submitted comments and stuff, and going to the survey that I took, I want to say, like, for me personally, I mean, I got like right there, but like, and then look, the promotional packages.
I see it.
It was. it's going to be a very special Final Fantasy for me personally, just because of how involved I felt I was, like in terms of like content creation and Final Fantasy TV and things like that. Um, it was the first big major Final Fantasy release that Final Fantasy TV was around for, and it was around the time that, like, I don't know, probably 2021 or something like that. I was just like, all right, I'm going to shift focus and just focus dedicated solely on 16. I'm not going to talk about anything else. Like, maybe if Rebirth has something pop up, I'm going to talk about Rebirth, obviously. But I was like, I'm just going to go 16 only and just hype it up, because that's all I was thinking about. That's all I wanted to talk about. So let's just go. So I did that, and I guess it was good enough that it got recognized by Square Enix, and Square Enix actually invited us to the launch event, the pre-launch event in LA.
So good though.
And, oh man, what an experience that was. I mean, like, not only the pre-launch event, but Square Enix was also really nice to allow me to go into the behind closed doors demo during the Summer Game Fest, like during the week. Got to play it before everybody else.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, those are magic moments though, right?
Dude, it was a very, very special moment. And like, for me personally, I'm really big into the gaming industry. Like, I love video games. Not more than just Final Fantasy. I love all gaming, and I follow E3 and Summer Game Fest, and I'm all about that. So being there, and not only being there, but being invited to be like kind of in it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in it now. Like, I was walking,
that's the dream though.
Greg Miller walking by, I'm like, yeah, dude, that's you. I'm here with you. Like, nobody else, like, shake it. I literally talked to Tim Geddes at the bar. I'm like, I don't know what to say to these people, because I just, you don't want to come across too weird. But anyways, that was the whole thing.
Yeah, but that's part of the magic. Like, when I was at the launch event, that was not planned. It was just like, oh yeah, you want to come? Like, yeah, I will be there, and I will get myself a new outfit, and I'll be there, and I'll do my best to just be there and check it out, seeing the impressions of people firsthand, like playing the game for the first time. Yeah. You cannot imagine. I was standing there like, fuck, damn, I don't know if they're gonna like it. And then you see people crying, like finishing the demo and stuff like that, and going like, holy damn. And I was so full of joy, man. God, yeah. So these events are magical.
There was an energy, for sure. There was an energy there that was and I think that's something I want to celebrate too when it comes to 16, where it's like, this felt big, dude. Like, this felt like this felt like something special,
Yeah.
And but being at that launch event, really cool moment for me, and just kind of feeling like I was, I played a little small insignificant part of the game releasing type thing, of like bringing that hype, and
that is not insignificant. I gotta interrupt you on that. Every single bit, like every single time I see you posting a new video about it, I was like, oh yeah, man, I wish we had that in Germany. No one is doing that, but I'm gonna hype the fuck out of this.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, thank you for that. So you have no idea. It means a lot more to people than you think. Like, man, screw the numbers and stuff like that. You hype me up as well. So it's more to love.
Your hype, baby. Living up to the name.
Damn straight.
God, man. And so it was awesome for me. I got to go home, got to play it. They sent me a package in the mail. This hoodie. I mean, God, it's just like, it's a part of a really big part of my life now. So I love Final Fantasy 16 for that reason only. Like, outside, not reason only, but for that reason, outside of the game itself being freaking amazing. And I'm not going to talk, because I'm going to repeat everybody else's thoughts on this, but I love the video game. I did a whole review on it. I had my little criticisms about it, but overall, in the overall grand scheme of things, 16 is probably top 5, maybe even higher than that. Might be top 3. We're gonna see. Dude, it's top 5 for me though. So what I want to do is I want to take it over to some some fans submitted some praises and just kind of what this means to them. So kind of starting off, I want to start off with Drakey C.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Drakey C says that I consider the Bahamut fight one of the greatest highs of the entire series, not just for its spectacle, which is incredible, of course, but also for its emotions and intensity of the story with the characters involved. It felt like the battle was the culmination of the entire story leading up to that point. A powder keg that exploded like a firework. I was screaming, I was cheering, and I almost cried. That's what he said. I also remember the time.
That's so good.
I also remember the time I was muttering and thinking, "Don't do it. Don't you dare kill Joshua." I was terrified they'd kill him off for real at some point during the sequence. And then after waiting the entire game for him to reunite with Clive and them coming increasingly closer to each with each encounter, I thought they might just kill Joshua here before they could meet, or just after. I cheered when they fought Bahamut together. I was in awe of them merging, and I cheered the loudest when they finally hugged. And it's just an incredible experience, and I can't recall the last time a game made me feel so engaged, Final Fantasy or otherwise. So thank you for that, Drakey C.
Oh yeah. Thank you for that. That was brilliant. Yeah. That was brilliant, and especially the hugging scene when Clive and Joshua reunite. In German, there's a lot more tears involved. Yeah, I was that was a great moment for me. Holy damn! So yeah. God, the Bahamut fight. I remember when I was streaming the game together with Tony, the German voice of Dion and Bahamut for that matter. Yeah. We were hyping it up so hard. We had no idea what it looked like. We legit only had like black screen kind of stuff, so we did not know what was happening. And then we saw it for the first time, and we lost our minds. It was so good. Yeah.
What made the you said there was more tears involved with the German version of that. Walk me through it, man. What was that all about? Like how did tell me, like, give me some behind the scenes stuff. I love that stuff.
When that moment happened, like me and the German voice actor for Joshua Fleming, we are friends as well, IRL. So we're all a big bunch of friends.
Yeah, awesome.
Basically, and it's so cool because I have a twin brother, and basically I used that as an emotional crutch to be like, okay, thinking my brother is dead, and then seeing him again, and finally, having this reuniting feeling as a brother, I can completely relate, and so I couldn't help myself. Like, I couldn't stop crying even in the first time when you meet the younger Joshua, the illusion. Even there I was bawling my eyes out. So every time that kind of was like teased, I just broke every single time. Yeah, couldn't help it. I'm glad they kept it like that, because I tried doing like different takes with less tears involved. It just didn't happen.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got to go back and play it in the German version for that.
It was pretty nice.
So Ian Silva says, Final Fantasy 16 is my favorite of the series since its release for many reasons. Gripping gameplay and fantastic visuals being some of the highest contenders. However, the story and its message of found family and what makes you different is what makes it makes you the. I'm sorry. Its message of found family and what makes you different is what makes you the strongest, is what ultimately made it the best in my eyes.
That is also very good. There's a cool angle to view this entire thing and the story that happens there, because of course you have a lot of layers on there, but what makes you different, makes you the strongest in that regard, is also very kind of like a mantra in acting as well. As an actor, you can only be your best self, but you can be your best self. that is your power, basically. So whatever you are the best at. No one can be a better you than you. So that's kind of a similar thing, and it's also what I'm striving to, do and perfect every single day. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ian Silva. And then let's go to Rumina. Rumina the Wanderer.
Ooh.
Yeah, ooh.
Ominous.
Rumina the Wanderer. Excuse me, still getting over pneumonia. I'm holding it together. I was like, man, I haven't coughed once. This is great.
I'll cast Vitaga on you.
Thank you. I need that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yeah, where's my white mages at? All right. Final Fantasy 16 becomes my favorite due to the beautiful storytelling, character development, music. Soken's composition is a masterpiece, and I loved including My Star, as it becomes my favorite song as well. And the awesome voice casts and staffs. Kudos in making this happen. Final Fantasy 16 is the reason why I returned to the Final Fantasy franchise after the immense disappointment that they were talking about. They were pretty disappointed with the series up until Final Fantasy 16. Fell in love with characters such as Clive, Jill, Torgal, Joshua, and many others. And then also inspired to make a crossover story dedicated for my favorite ship, Jill and Clive. So there you go.
That's a green flag right there. Yeah. Nice.
Favorite
Yeah,
moments
that's
was
exactly the thing. Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go
No, I'm sorry. I had the favorite moments were the Shadow Coast and the brothers' reunion with Bahamut. There you go. That moment comes back again. So yeah, there you go. What were you gonna say, man? I'm sorry.
I forgot.
I'm an excellent host.
No, you are the best host ever. Don't worry about that. I was just like, my brain is fried. But that's fine. It wasn't that important. It was just like a little side thing.
Rumina wants to know, when is Clive and Jill going to have closure? Can you provide closure for Rumina?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Okay.
I can.
All right, here we go.
Because Clive promised, and promises never break, of course, They are set in stone. It has to happen. They marry. The DLC, The Rising Tide, is basically just a tutorial for marriage for both of them. Yeah. And the baby prototype kind of thing going on. Yep. So they marry. They will have them kids. It's just gonna be that.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna have two
Joshua's
kids.
not gonna be there though. Yeah, they're gonna have two kids.
One's gonna look surprisingly like Joshua, and the other one's gonna look like Clive, and then they're gonna go in there with, like, you're talking about the myth of they're gonna have this story of Final Fantasy written by Joshua. It's gonna be on their table. What? Is that the epilogue?
Yeah, exactly. So Clive becomes an author and just writes it in honor of Joshua's name, of course, and then everything's done. We're all happy.
I made a YouTube short trying to explain this. Not many people watched it. I'm trying to, like, listen. I literally tell you guys, he's fine. Jill cut her hair short. She's older at the end of the epilogue. It's not hundreds of years into the future. That's Jill. That's what I'm gonna believe.
Yeah, same.
Same. So there you go. And then I want to let's take it over to the survey. Let's go over to the survey.
Oh yeah.
I asked a few people over on the survey. Now we're jumping into the survey time, where we're gonna finish off reading some, like, what Final Fantasy 16 means, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about Rebirth, or maybe we'll just jump right into Final Fantasy 17, and I'm sure Rebirth will come up many times during that, as we...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, as we're trying to craft the perfect Final Fantasy 17.
Yeah, I gotta say, your survey is awesome. I loved it. I saw it and I was like, damn, those are some good questions. It's very, very, very saucy. I love it. Let's tackle this.
There's some interesting responses that I'm actually kind of surprised about. So, I can't wait to jump into that. I do want to read what Braylon says. I love the characters and the dialogue. My heart broke for them and soared for them. It was masterfully written dialogue and stellar VO work on every level and for every character. Ben Starr was simply incredible and ripped my heart right out of my chest and delivered the humor with perfect level of sarcasm. I will carry these characters. I will carry these characters. I think it cut off in my little thing here.
Oh, damn.
In my heart and every day, when I think of the finest character work, I will 100% point to Final Fantasy 16. And then he talks about obviously praising the music, the style, action. And I want to throw this one, highlight this. Admittedly, the accessibility rings were pure genius. Because I could have had the training wheels on until I got comfortable and then slowly changed them out when I wasn't using them anymore. So that's something we're going to talk about leading into 17, something that really worked for 16. Seven Deadly Streamer says, I love the characters and stories. It often reminded me of the world of Final Fantasy Tactics, which is his personal favorite. Yeah, it did. It did have some tactics thing, and I will stand by it. Tactics is a rated M game. That's rated M.
It's totally rated M.
That game should be rated M. Savannah Highwind, the Sky Serpent 14 says, I've never been more epically immersed in the gameplay of any game I've played than during Final Fantasy XVI's Icon battles. Everything about those battles, from the music to controls, hyped me up so much that I couldn't stop myself from jumping around my living room.
Nice. Yeah, I got that image in my head. It's hilarious.
Man, I'd say that Titan fight made me jump up and down in my living room. That Titan fight,
my personal
favorite, dude. My personal favorite. I love the Bahamut fight. Bahamut fight was great, dude. But the Titan, and then like the music was so out of left field, so different. And and it just starts playing. I'm like, okay.
Like,
all right.
We're in this now. Okay, let's go.
We got a theme song about Titan going on right now, and you can hear the words. It's not in Latin. I love it. I was like, okay, we are actually singing about Titan. Oh,
yeah, it's so good.
I loved it, man.
Damn.
Yes.
Plus, best build up.
Oh,
best build up to the fight.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn.
Oh, I agree.
So good.
God.
Yeah.
No pity from me, Kupka. And no mercy.
So good. Yeah. Now die. That was so good.
Yeah, that's so great. The game. Charlie Ziot says the game is peak Final Fantasy.
Yeah, based opinion. Amazing.
He said so many times he found himself screaming at my TV, "This is Final Fantasy." I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I get that kind of feedback, I get it in terms of gameplay. In terms of gameplay, I'm like, all right, guys, I can understand they made some pretty big changes here, and I'm like, but this game is so Final Fantasy, it is ridiculous. Like this game is Final Fantasy. But Andy K says the cast was phenomenal across the board, and as an Irish guy, I'm always happy to see English localizations that veer away from the typical American stuff and make an effort to include accents and dialects that we don't often hear. That's kind of pitch that over for you. Did you kind of notice that with the German dub?
We sadly, I was asking that because when I heard Gaff, I was like, oh damn, like what does he sound like in German? Like did we get a little thing going? Is he like we're speaking with a Berlin kind of accent dialect kind of thing? Yeah, but in general, it's not that common, sadly, and to get that past production stuff like that is very, very hard to pull off. So the way we did it was we emitted that, but we gave them a certain vibe with it. So the way their wordings will be different, and in that way we kind of tried to adapt to it. But it was still very, very nice, and it gave us leeway to just like ad lib on the script and have a bunch of jokes in there. So
that's awesome.
That worked.
Nice. Janina. We'll go with
Janina, probably.
Janina.
Yeah.
It's become my favorite Final Fantasy game. I love the overall darkness combined with Sid and Gav's humor. Excuse me. It's wonderful to see Clive grow through it as a person. And some more praise for the rings of accessibility. Combat system super fun. But mostly I kind of wanted to highlight that one just to kind of say, love the overall darkness of this game. And I that's another thing that we're going to talk about for 17.
Yeah.
But the way you interact with, oh wait, this is going to be for the devs. So got to read this one. I also said if you have anything that you would like to say the devs or the voice actors, let me know. Who knows? They might be watching. We do have a voice actor right here. So to the devs and the cast, I would like to say, you are amazing. You did an awesome job bringing the game to life, making it stay in people's minds and wanting to replay it. Also, the way that you interact with fans is a joy. Being it online or at conventions, you show so much dedication to your characters and treat everyone with kindness. Thank you so much. And I gotta echo that, Janina. Like, I love the basically the people who represent, like, at these conventions and stuff, Koji Fox, Yoshida, those two in particular. Let's go, because they were kind of spearheading everything in terms of like talking from the dev side. I love their dynamic. Like, their dynamic is so good, and like, yeah, the game is dark, but you can tell that they themselves have a sense of humor that I'm like, oh man, please put them in charge of 17. Like, you see it in 14 as well, but there's a sense of humor there, right? That they carry with them that is so fun and entertaining, and you can tell that they're passionate about what they're talking about, and it made me hype. So big shout out to them. I love Koji Fox and Yoshida. That was awesome.
Yeah, big shout out from me to the entire English cast practically as well, because the way they handled the release and stuff like that, I haven't seen that since or before. That was brilliant stuff. They embraced it. They embraced the memes. They shared fan art, stuff like that. It's really heartwarming, especially for like a dark Final Fantasy like that. It's pretty cool to see how funny, how engaged with everything they are. Like, it's not just another job for them. It's it was like a lot of passion in there. And yeah, you know, they portray it outwards to the fans, and that is the best thing you can do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So mad props to them.
Props to them, man. It was so wonderful meeting them at the 16 launch event. Like, I met everyone who was there, all the cast that was there.
So cool.
It was so awesome hanging out with them. Got to the pre-launch party was the one where we went to a like just to hang out at a bar or whatever.
Nice.
But that was cool. That was awesome. Like, just to kind of hang out with them, and yeah, they love what they were doing. So big shout out to them. Guys. Love it. Excuse me. So Morgana also said, absolutely love the edginess and darker tones of this game. Liam says, probably the most important game in my life. The gameplay lets you be creative with the small set of tools that you are given. Story and characters are very well written, and what the game talks about, and everything is supported amazingly by the voice cast. But yeah, so there's, let me see, one more. Kind of want to go through if there's anything that like I want to point out before we get started with Final Fantasy 17. Thanks to everybody who had submitted their thoughts. Really appreciate it. I loved reading every single one of these, so thank you so much for that. Because that's what this is all about. That's what I do. That's why it's Final Fan TV. I love getting the fans involved in any way that I can, and to communicate with, whether it's good or like, hey, disappointment's part of it as well. I tell that to people. Let me tell you something right now, man. Like, they could steer away from it, all right? The warrior of hype, because listen, just like in the game Final Fantasy, the light can't exist without dark, right? Hype can't exist without disappointment. You know what I mean? You gotta cover it. You gotta talk about it. You gotta talk about it. So
yeah, true though.
Torgo is best boy.
Yeah.
There you
Torgo's
go.
Best boy.
And Don Myers does kind of talk about a little bit what we quoted it earlier, but when he says Clive's caring and compassionate despite the suffering he's been through, and he also doesn't pull punches when it comes to someone who needs to be dealt with, like Kupka, right? He knows when people need to go in the ground. That's quite the pun for, you know what I mean, like for Titan goes in the ground.
Yeah. Good one.
Good one.
Good one. But yeah. That is a thing that hasn't happened in a long time for Final Fantasy. Or even I think it even was like a first time occurrence that you have this morally gray kind of character that isn't edgy by any means, and you still after slaughtering so many people for 13 plus years, you know, still just like oozes out humanity and being a normal man who has to carry the entire weight of the world on his shoulders, doing something that none of the regular people would want, just to, you know, give them a better future, stuff like that. And still, you know, not being the goody two shoes, but actually, you know, just chopping off some hands, you know.
Yeah, you'll get no mercy from me.
Right.
Also, shout out to him for teaching manners to people. You know, like, I mean, like, for showing how manners are done. You know, like, sort of, he says thank you a lot. Like, he is very thankful.
Oh yeah.
He's a very thankful. Like, thank you. You know, like, good for you, man. Not very many people need to learn. People need to learn. Say thank you.
Yeah, say thank you more.
Say thank you more. All right, so now I want to talk about Final Fantasy 17. So here we go. I'm going to make a little note here. I can chapter out the time bar for those who just want to skip right to the 17 talk. I'll have it there for you. So at 47 minutes. All right. Excuse me. Let's talk about this. Final Fantasy 17.
Yeah. It's a game, I guess. It'll happen.
Listen, man, I was ready to just jump into it, but I don't want to skip over this question. It's one question. It's one single question.
Yeah.
Let me switch gears a little bit. All right. If
Good.
the rumors are true, and there is a Final Fantasy 9 remake in the works, how should it be? So I asked, how should it be? And I said, would you rather have Final Fantasy 7 remake style, traditional fixed camera, modern graphics, classic ATB? So basically, you got the original PS1 game, but they've made it like Unreal Engine 4 and it looks incredible, but you're still top down. You're still looking at the same exact gameplay wise, but it looks amazing. Or it's even HD 2D. I don't think that's going to be a thing, but like they do something crazy with the art style, but it still plays this exactly the same. Or do you want a third-person modern graphics and retain the classic ATB? So basically, you're getting Final Fantasy 7 remake style, but when you get into a battle, it goes into ATB. It's a turn-based battle. This was extremely surprising to me. You ready for this?
Okay. No, I'm not ready, but I'll try to be ready. Okay, hit me.
This is extremely surprising to me. 31%. It was split. 31, 36. Like, it's...
What the...
It's split. 31, 36. It is
We
split.
can't agree on anything regarding that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Even after 16? Even after 7 Rebirth? That's crazy.
Yeah. That was more like, I was like, man, I feel like there should be a whole, like, spawn off a whole new franchise of remake. So, like, you just basically call it Final Fantasy 9 Remake, and they just take everything that Final Fantasy 7 Remake does and then put their own twist on it. You know, bring in, you got 4-player battle, 4-party, just like they did on the PS1. You know, you got a couple different things going on. But it's still the core, same combat, same gameplay. But surprisingly, the number, like the top one, the 36% was the Final Fantasy 7 Remake style. The other 31 was, it's split. So there it is. That was
you want my opinion on that?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely want your opinion.
Good.
What do you want?
If there was a Final Fantasy 9 remake to happen, because we don't know, we have no confirmation yet, no official or anything so far, but up until like 5 minutes ago, I was like, it could be an ATB system. That'd be fine. But then I was thinking about the Vivi and Steiner dynamic that they have, like this where Vivi casts a spell like fire or something like that, and then it works together with Steiner and synergy, and he just does like this super crazy flame sword attack and whatnot. And based on that, and based on what Rebirth did with the whole synergy movements and stuff like that, I want more of that.
Yeah.
So I would totally be fine. I would totally be fine with a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth kind of style, but still very, very much a new thing. It could lean into a little bit of more of an ATB system. That'd be totally fine. Just like let him move around and stuff like that. That'd be cool. But yeah, something like that, like a little bit of a hybrid thing, that'd be super nice.
I like that.
Super nice.
I like that because I'm 100% with you. I want Final Fantasy VII Remake style with those Final Fantasy 9 quirks, like the ones that you're talking about. Like you have that, you have the trance system that it's a little different than Limit Break, but you have something that, just like the PS1 did, you're iterating upon the same essential ATB battle system. It's like essentially it's the same, but you're building on it and you're making something different. I would love for them to take that, bring it on over to Final Fantasy 9, and now that they're like in this rhythm, like they're in this groove, they know how to remake these games. Like I think they could do it. I would be surprised if it was all on one part. Like it might have to be another 3-part trilogy, or it might have to be these games are huge. So like those PS1 games, like the PS1 story, and even before that, like those stories are really, really massive. So
yeah, they are.
I guess you could imagine that it would be maybe 1 or 2 or 3 games worth, but I would be okay with that. I would love to see another, like, hey, we're doing another remake. It's going to be Final Fantasy 9. The question I should have put on here, if we're going to continue on with Final Fantasy 9, and I probably will do another survey, what do they do with the story? Do they do the Final Fantasy VII Remake style with the story and keep you on your toes and change things up a lot? Or do they but also somehow maintaining the same course and all that other stuff with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Or do they stay faithful to it? That would be a big question. That's a
question, because it works so well with FF7 because they did the whole live stream thing and like the entire thing, and then the strands and whatever. Like there's a lot going on there.
Final Fantasy VIII would probably be the one that would make sense for that to happen again.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. 8 would be perfect for that. I would love it if 9 would flesh out every single character more.
Ooh, yeah.
So, for example, you go through Alexandria a lot more as Vivi and stuff like that. You have different adventures there going on like that. Maybe have something like, okay, you play as Vivi, but then at the same time, because Zidane is there as well somewhere, you switch over to him, but like fluidly, kind of a little bit like GTA 5. If you remember that. But yeah. Let's make it work like that.
Oh, that would be cool.
Something like that, like going there, having stuff going on there, a little bit of mini games going in there, not too many. But yeah, I would, I would love that. Just playing around with the whole vibe of FF9, feeling so much like an old school Final Fantasy, but also feeling like this superb fairy tale. It has this vibe, so it needs to be played with that. Oh God, I want to play that right now. Damn, I got it in my brain right now.
Tom Close in chat was saying, do we have anything confirmed here? And basically, Tom Close, when it comes to Naoki Yoshida during one of the Final Fantasy 14 things, he was like, as far as the Final Fantasy 9 collaborations go and all that stuff that you see, planned, I guess you'll just have to wait and see. And I'm like,
yeah.
What does that mean? I'm getting hype.
Same here though.
So yeah, I would say that oh man, that was really close to confirmation there, but nothing's confirmed. There is that big, strong leak that was from the NVIDIA leak from years and years ago, but a lot of those games on that leak have actually come to fruition. So there is that. So you might even also see a change in content strategy from Final Fan TV if it does become a thing. I plan on becoming the warrior of hype for Final Fantasy 9 Remake. So it would just be 9 Remake all the time. And what's really exciting about that for me is that I've played 9 a couple, maybe twice. I don't like. I've played it like maybe not a lot, right? So I haven't played it as many times as I've played other Final Fantasies. So it'll be kind of, fresh for me. Like I'll kind of I'll do a let's play. I'll have you on because I know you love Final Fantasy 9. It'll be fun, right? So
yeah.
So yeah, we'll.
I'm down. Let's go. Let's do this.
All right. So now, let's finally, without further ado, get into Final Fantasy 17. And
yeah.
Because listen, man, this past year, and within the course of 6 months, but we'll add on to it with all the hype build up to 16 and everything like that. But we got freaking Final Fantasy 16, and then we got Rebirth. Right, like 2 incredible Final Fantasy games, and I think this was like kind of a declaration of reclamation, is what I said in my video. I put that
brilliant.
I put that in the script of the of my Final Fantasy 7 Part 3 titles. It was like reclaim, and I was like, Final Fantasy as a series needs to make a declaration of reclamation to reclaim their throne as the king of RPGs and stuff like that. But basically, I think Rebirth and 16 were like, hey, Final Fantasy is so back, baby. We are freaking fun. God, yeah. It's been a long time since 15. It's been a long time, right? So we're finally got Final Fantasy back in the spotlight, and 2 incredible games, 2 pretty different style games too, though. So let's talk about how we can take Final Fantasy 16, combine it with Rebirth, and make the perfect Final Fantasy 17. So I asked, and I'll read through this a little bit later, but I asked everybody to kind of give their perfect vision of a Final Fantasy 17 story. Let me see if I can kind of, but we'll come back to it. We'll circle back. We'll get into the stats. Let's get into the stats, because this first one is very interesting. This first question, I said, who would you prefer to pen the story of Final Fantasy 17? All right, so I kind of listed out some, but I also gave the option to add. So there's there's that. It was a multiple choice with the option to add, so take that as you will. Like not everybody was able to vote on the things that were added. So, but the number one response with 46%.
Ishikawa, probably.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Called it.
That's Ishikawa. Yep. Known for Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers and Endwalker. So I also put on Twitter, I don't know if anybody responded, but I said nah, nobody did. It was too early, too soon. Close to the podcast. But I was like, what about Ishikawa that is, that you love about the storytelling? But I have a few things that kind of that support this, that Ishikawa could be working on 17. To start off, I'm just going to bring that up. It was back when Endwalker was done, 6.1, she was moved to a more supporting role, a more supportive role, not the lead anymore on the scenario and the story designer, right? So that was back when Endwalker was at 6.1. You can imagine that maybe they're starting to make moves to say, all right, we got to think forward thinking here. Final Fantasy 17 we need something. We need an outline. We need a story. We're going to put Ishikawa on there. There's one thing that could be supporting the idea that she could actually be writing the story of Final Fantasy 17, and it seems like the fandom is very, very on board with that. The number 2 answer was 17% before, and then after that it kind of just goes off into like 1%, 2%, yeah. But 17% was Kazushika Nojima in charge of Rebirth and Final Fantasy 7, and even I threw it out there because I wanted everybody to know Stranger of Paradise was also his work as well.
Ooh, oh my god!
Yeah, he's also on Stranger of Paradise. So so that was the 17% one, and love Nojima, but I also think about that dude is extremely busy working on Rebirth and Part 3. That if he was in charge of 17, we're not getting 17 for years, man, decades. So I just think there's been movements in place for Ishikawa to be actually the the one that's writing the story for this, and I think that would be a huge win. So, chat, I'm gonna ask you guys, for all of the Final Fantasy 14 players out there, what about Ishikawa? What about that storytelling that really appeals to you? Do you have anything to say on that, Vincent?
I haven't played Shadowbringers or Endwalker yet,
right?
So I'm eagerly waiting to get there and finally see what the best parts of FF14 have to offer. So it's very, very interesting to reach that level, because so far I'm not very impressed. It's fine, it's entertaining, but I'm not very impressed.
Right.
So I'm still waiting for that, and then after that I can probably, actually like pinpoint a skill set to Ishikawa and say, you know what, that's a perfect choice. But I am sure, like, we will get to that setting later, but if there was a somewhat sci-fi-esque setting going on, I think Ishikawa would deliver the best, probably. But I will also say Matsuno, because FF Tactics was insanely good, would be a very, very strong choice. On the other hand, though, someone completely new would also be very interesting.
Yeah, I was like, I thought about that too. Just put in there somebody completely new as an option. I think that would be good too. It's more like, oh no, what are we getting? Which is exciting. With Ishikawa, one of the things that I kind of want to point out that might get people a little excited about the idea is, if you're not familiar with Ishikawa, I kind of brought up a interview that was done with VG247, and I'm not gonna do any spoilers because obviously you need to get to the Shadowbringers, but this was done after Shadowbringers, and Ishikawa says, quote, "At the end of the day, no matter how grand a certain history might be, it is the individual lives of the people that form those threads of history." So you can kind of get the idea that she's very focused on character. Quote, "I adore writing last bosses. I love the concept of that kind of villain," and then redacted. But when someone that thinks they're in the right, when in reality their actions are monstrous, they might have a striking background that makes them relatable on some level, yet you still need to defeat them because they're evil. So you know what I'm saying? You're getting character-driven story with Ishikawa. You're getting a villain that seems like she likes the idea when they're relatable. She likes the idea of building out a villain like that, which is always a good thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then on the topic of romance, she says, quote, "From Rinoa to Squall in Final Fantasy VIII, to Titus and Yuna in Final Fantasy X, the series has a long, storied history with romance as a core theme." And then she kind of goes on to talk about how that's hard to do in 14 because you're the main character, your created character and all that other stuff. But she recognizes that as a kind of a core theme. So you can maybe expect there's romance there. You got this. So if she is in charge of Final Fantasy 17, that might be what you can expect. I'll go over to the topic of party members. This was pretty unanimous. 90.2% say all playable. All party members need to be playable. 9% said control one character, give commands to the others, and then nobody said control only one character. So people really want that party dynamic to return in Final Fantasy 17, and I think we can kind of talk about how Rebirth did this excellently. Rebirth.
Oh God, yeah.
To really have that party dynamic throughout the game, allowing you to play as the character sometimes for certain parts of the game, being able to swap with them in battle, customizing their loadouts and everything. That's what everybody really wants, right?
Yeah. And for sure.
Yeah.
Plus, they even switched it up so you were like characters were grouped together for a certain period of time in Rebirth that normally wouldn't be, put together, stuff like that. It keeps you on your toes. It's so good.
Yeah.
Damn.
It is freaking amazing. I do really love that, and I can kind of see where Final Fantasy 16 was what direction it was trying to take makes a lot of sense for what they did.
Yeah.
I do think like being able to at least give commands to the party members is good. So if they are to like maybe take 16's combat and iterate upon it, being able to have a party dynamic for 17 would be ideal, like where you're able to at least kind of give them commands. And like even 15, when the game first launched on Final Fantasy 15, you were able to like give them a little bit of direction with like the directional pad, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it was like context sensitive a little bit based on what you did before or where you're standing. Like if you're standing next to them, you can do like
that's when you do the cool team up. Like the cool team up thing. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was cool. That was so good.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought synergy in for I love being able to like interact with the party while you're battling. Yes.
Yeah, that was so good. For the I was just thinking like for the battle system of 16, if it would be a 16-ish battle system, it would be cool to just have this thing where you could just say, okay, I'm in this character now. The next 3 attacks he's gonna make is like 1, 2, 3, whatever, and then you switch to the next character. And while the other character is doing the movements, you could just real time battle like with the other character. That'd be pretty nice, actually.
That's like,
and I've never seen that in a game.
That's like a hybrid of Final Fantasy 1, right? Like that's like a Final Fantasy. That's like 1, 2, and 3, where it's like true turn-based, where you're just like, all right, I'm gonna input my turn commands, and then we're gonna see how this thing plays out. But in real time. Oh man, that's interesting.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
So let's stick to the combat since we were talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. Would you rather?
Listen, sir.
Thank you. Would you rather Final Fantasy VII's remakes or Rebirth FF7R's combat system as the base, and then you put a unique twist on that for Final Fantasy 17? Would you like Final Fantasy 17 to iterate upon Final Fantasy 16's combat with its own unique twist, of course, adding things that people have been requesting, like elemental strengths and weaknesses, status effects, and of course maybe a party dynamic? Or would you just rather it be return to turn-based or active time battle? So the results being the number one response to this.
I'm excited.
Yeah. It's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like everybody, like it was 63.4% said they want to kind of iterate upon Rebirth or remakes or whatever you want to call it, FF7R combat system, and kind of say like going forward, Final Fantasy. This is Final Fantasy. This is what we need to be working off of. And then there was 26%. Yeah, that's right. Because it was split. I had like changed it halfway through because I was like Final Fantasy 17 iterates upon 16, and then I made a spelling error, so I deleted it, came back, but apparently it counts as 2. Anyways, so yeah, 22% say Final Fantasy 16, and then only like 9%. Or 26, 9% says they want a return to turn-based. So I think that's pretty telling to me, to where it's like lot of there is an outcry for like come back to turn-based to like all this other stuff, and I totally like understand where that's coming from, and from people who are big fans of Final Fantasy from the past, like they love the turn-based stuff. To them, I have to say,
play Fire Emblem,
Octopath Traveler, you know what I mean? Like Octopath Traveler, things like that. Those spin-offs, you gotta go give them a chance, because please, dear God, bring Fantasian to the other consoles. But Fantasian, the creator of Final Fantasy,
exactly. The Apple
Arcade exclusive, and it's a damn shame, because that game is freaking amazing, dude. That game is amazing. But yeah, so like. There are games out there that are continuing that on, but I do truly believe that FF7R has kind of brought in that a good blend, right? A good blend. My favorite thing.
Good blend. It's the perfect battle system. Yeah.
It's a perfect blend, and it adds this layer of strategy that I just love. I love I love spending time, especially on hard mode. When I'm spending time in the menus trying to figure out, all right, I need my loadout for this, for my characters to be perfect, and like when do I swap between characters? When do like doing all this stuff? Elemental strengths and weaknesses coming into play heavily. I think F7R's combat is perfect, and I will say, for as far as 16 goes, like the bringing it to the stylish combat, right? This is very much how
flashy.
Cool, yeah, it's very flashy. How cool you look, how many combos you can put together. I mean, there's literally an arcade mode to give you a rank on how well you're doing with that. So they do focus on that quite a bit. Whereas, like, if they were to iterate upon Final Fantasy XVI's combat, which I don't think would be a bad thing at all. Like I think you're appealing to the larger gaming audience with this. And I think what it needed to do in order to like really connect is to just iterate a little bit more, to add these strengths and weaknesses, and to add the status effects, things that you got to contend with, and maybe even a party system. I wonder what people would think about that if Final Fantasy XVI's combat, instead of swapping between icons, you swap between your party members and they all had their own little. I wonder what people would think of that. If the combat was Final Fantasy XVI, stylish, flashy, and then they added strengths and weaknesses, but you're swapping between party members. I wonder if people would be like, "Oh wait, no, that's actually really cool."
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, it would get rid of the intensity of the battle itself, because if you're only playing as Clive, you have this more connected intensity kind of thing going on, and you have this whole Mega Man shtick, of course, with Clive absorbing everything, which is kind of part of the main plot. But in general, I was wishing for that, just being able to switch to Jill and having like completely different base combo and stuff like that, and having more movement options and stuff. That would have been so good. But
right, and it's like, hey, Final Fantasy 17 is kind of going to bring that for you. I think that
could happen.
It's like I wouldn't be upset if that was the case, because I'm looking at FF7R and I'm thinking keep that as all of your remakes from now on. So like you split, and now you have your Final Fantasy 7 or your Final Fantasy remakes. They're using that battle system. And then we're going this direction. We're going with the that stylized, epic, cinematic, like incredible battles that you got with 16. We're going that way with it, but we are going to listen to that fan feedback. We are going to bring in parties. We're going to bring. I would be completely okay with that. But I will say that I think FF7R has literally my favorite combat in like any video game. So.
Yeah, same. I agree wholeheartedly. Especially with Rebirth, it just got better. It just got better, and I couldn't believe it. I was so damn hyped, and I was so happy that I had to look at at the enemies and how they respond and what their weaknesses are, trying to figure out that, and having the proper timing to parry them and stuff like that. Going aerial if I wanted to, having these small mobs just like throwing them up in the air and then doing mid-air combos and stuff like that. It was so good. Switching to the other characters, of course, because you can do it, and having these synergy attacks as well, because I used them a bunch of times and stuff like that. If you take this base of that and then just work on it enough to cater to the game that's being remade, that is a guaranteed success every single time.
Yeah.
I cannot see it fail.
And I gotta shout out
I
gotta shout out Kalia, who says, or maybe Final Fantasy 17 will bring something completely new. Now, this is a topic that is absolutely possible. And if you want to go to the trend of what Final Fantasy is doing with their mainline series, they are kind of just, hey, we're going to throw everything out the window and we're starting fresh. Like, this is going to be a completely fresh experience. I think, and Night Sky Prince made a wonderful video on this. If you go and you watch, I can't remember what it was called, but talks about iteration and why that's super important. And I gotta like wholeheartedly agree with, if you throw everything out the window that you established with 16, then you have to start fresh, and that's gonna be, we're talking like Final Fantasy 17 2030. You know what I mean? Like we're going way out there now, and it's just like I don't want to wait another 6-7 years. I think you know what I mean. I think when it comes to Final Fantasy, when it was most successful, it was when it was pumping them out. You know, I mean, it was when it was pumping out these Final Fantasies almost yearly. That was when it was at its most successful. And I think
Yeah.
I think we need to kind of get back to that. And the way
Like
you do
3-year cycle kind of thing.
exactly. Like we're not going too far out with it. And if we're iterating upon 16's combat, let's just stick with 16. We had something really solid here, and we established like, hey, this is Final Fantasy now, and it's like, let's establish that, let's build on it, let's keep it cinematic, let's keep these freaking over the top God of War 3 style battles, you know, like this epic scale. But we're going to iterate, we're going to listen, we're going to bring in party, we're going to bring in things like that. I would be like, I'm super happy. I'm super on board with that. You get this game out to me within 4 years, 5 years. Oh man, yes. I'd take that over a completely new system any day. And it's like, it's almost like, why would you come up with a new system? You know what I mean? Like you're there, man. You're on the cusp. Like you have it. You nailed it down with FF7R. You had something amazing with 16. So yeah, and thank you for stopping by, MJ Gallagher. Big shout out to him. And if you, MJ Gallagher,
my man.
Yeah, if you're interested in mythology, please go check out MJ Gallagher's books. He's got the Greek myths that inspired Final Fantasy VII, Norse myths, and then Mythos is coming.
Mythos, yeah.
Mythos is coming. We're talking about the myths in Final Fantasy 16. Mythos. I love saying it. Mythos.
No one knows where that's coming from. It's just so hilarious. It's like this. That's the weirdest kind of way to say it. But yeah, props to David for that accent.
Yeah, Mythos. All right, so then we go to. Oh, this is a good one.
Oh yeah.
What should it be rated? Now this was I was very interested in what everybody thought of this one, because personally, and I'm biased because I'm older now, and I'm like, you know what I mean, I'm in my 30s, but I loved it being rated M. All right, so and I think that Final Fantasy VII Remake, if we're going to kind of compare these as like, hey, FF7R is what you get as a teen rating, and FF716 is what you get as the M rating, I think FF7R should be rated M.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
Remove the restrictions, remove the boundaries, and let's just go with that rated M. And I'm happy that 51% agree that Final Fantasy 17 should be rated M. So,
yeah,
over half agree, a little over half agree. 39% say teen, and then like 10%, 9.8 say everyone 10 and up. so there you go.
Funny enough, I think Final Fantasy 9 was rated like the lowest. I think in Germany it was rated like if you're 6 years old you can play the game.
Yeah.
And that game has topics that are just way above anything a 6-year-old could handle.
Yeah, we're talking about existentialism and all that other good stuff. Yeah.
Rated M.
Nice. Rated teen over here. Over here, it was rated teen.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I would personally say though. Yeah, it's cool that you got it like right there. I would need to open the door and then I had it right there.
So the whole collection sitting right there.
Perfect. Personally, I would say it should definitely have the rating it would need depending on the setting it's in and the story that's being told. But it should not pull any punches whatsoever if beneficial to the story. Definitely, 100%.
Super fair point, depending on what the story that you're trying to tell. I agree. I just really love 16 for being able to like not hold anything back, not pulling any punches.
It was so good.
Yeah,
it was so good.
And it was so nice just to hear like excuse me, the F-bombs just dropping. I don't know. I'm at the age now, bro. I'm at the age now where like when the kids go to bed, if it's rated teen or if it's rated like PG-13, I don't even want to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Give me some F-bombs.
I'm just
give me some blood.
Give me something. I'm watching 300 again. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Oh. It's what we do. It's what we do.
What is your profession? Yeah, that's. I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm obviously biased because we're more mature, and that's going to kind of come into play for another question later on in here. But let's see if Final Fantasy. Oh, this is actually an interesting one too. Props to the person who sent this one out. If Final Fantasy 17 was announced as a 2-part game, would you like that? Now, the idea of this question, and I put it in italics. I was like, think of it like Final Fantasy 7 Remake plus Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and imagine that's it. It's not a trilogy. It's just a 2-part game. So part 1 will establish it, characters, plot, combat, etc. And then part 2 goes wild with an insane amount of content and improvements, just like Rebirth did. So you get my question was, what do you think of that? Do you like that idea? 65% say nah, I want it all in one game. 34% said they sounds like a great idea. So it's obviously majority, but I kind of want to defend a little bit. I think 2 parts is fine. I like the 2-part idea. And if you announce it like, hey, this is a 2-part game, it sucks because everybody will be like, well, I'm not gonna play it until part 2 comes out. You know, like there's gonna be those two people. There's gonna be a couple people who say that. Like you got like even with FF7R, I still have people like, oh man, I'm not gonna play it until part 3's done. Like why would I? You know, I'm like, you're missing out. But I kind of defend this to the point where I'm like, man, I look at 16 and I'm like, I would really love it if 16 wasn't over. Like, I would really like it if it was like 16 established. Hey, here's the game. Here's what we could do with part 1, and then part 2. Guess what? We're blowing it up. Like, not only are you going to Valisthea, we'll just imagine that the DLCs didn't exist. We're going to take you to Mysidia. We're going to take you over here. We're going to give you so much freedom. It's going to blow your mind. We're going to add party. We're going to do all of this. We're just going to...
you're going to arm wrestle cactuars.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're putting mini games in. You're going to have the... Queen's Blood would have fit in 16. I'm going to stand by that.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so like having we're going to put mini games in. We're going to do all of this. And then that's part 2 where it's just blown up. We have an insane amount of content and stuff like that coming in for part 2. I'm on the side of this where I'm like, if you announce it and you make it up, you're upfront about it, rather than like 13 where they come out and they're like 13's a complete story, and then they're like, nope, we still got 2 and 3 to make because we want to just kind of do that. And then I guess with 10, it's like 10 was that I think of that as a complete story on its own. I don't even think about 10 too. I know that might be blasphemy for some. I don't associate it.
No, it's totally fine. But I played and liked 10-2, and still I view them separately.
It's just like but if you announce it like, hey, this is part 1 and of a 2-part game, and it's like, all right, you set the bar, you know what to expect. It's like, I don't know. I think I kind of like that idea. I'm looking at chat right now. Drakey C is like N-O. You know what I mean? So not a fan of that one. Drumjod says, I don't mind the games being split up as long as both parts are great. I actually kind of like that about the RE games, the remake games. And I think that's... And then Drakey C, let's spend the 2 years between theory crafting our brains out. but it's like that's actually kind of cool. Like I don't, like if it's for me personally, I would love that better in a weird kind of way than 7 Rebirth or Remake, because like when it comes to 7, you have to pull from like encyclopedias. Like I have a bookshelf of Final Fantasy 7 books. I've got every Final. You have to, if you're theory crafting, you need to know everything that's happening. Whereas like when you're theory crafting about, like, let's say 17 comes out, everybody has the same thing in front of them. It's like, hey, part 1, here it is. What's going to happen in part 2? Study part 1. You know what I mean? Like, it's right there. So I'm on the side of... What about you, Vincent? I've been talking too long. What about you?
That's fine.
Where do you stand with this? Like, do you like the 2-part or just want to make it all one game?
So initially, initially I was thinking, let's keep it in one part because I like my games complete and stuff like that. But then, from a development point of view, especially, and the hype and theory crafting just adds onto it, which is pretty nice. It is very very hard to make games. It just gets harder and harder because they are so elaborate. By now they are very elaborate. So if it benefits from a development perspective, if it benefits the entire project, why not split it in two parts, but make it make sense?
Yes.
Make it not feel like a super bad cliffhanger kind of thing, but make people, excited for the next part of the game. They won't have to wait too long, and they will have a fantastically crafted game. Give me two parts. Give me two parts, and I'll happily be in the subreddit for this game until the next one drops.
Yeah, I mean, and then
it's very smart actually.
Yeah, even if you establish the or just use Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy as a basis, but we're talking two parts, like Rebirth, Remake, Rebirth, let's just assume that is the two part. What if Final Fantasy 17 establishes the characters, the plot, the combat, and all of that good stuff, but keeps you in the first city? And but it's like you're
like a Midgar kind of thing in
exactly.
FF7.
And you have this really nice, imagine if Final Fantasy 15 took this one and you spent the entire time in Insomnia. There was a lot of stuff. You had the invasion at the end of it, and it's all of this, everything takes place in Insomnia. And then, guess what, though? There's a world beyond, but you gotta wait till part 2. And then part 2 kicks off, and you're pushing the car. You're having a road trip with the boys. You're like, oh my god, this thing is blown up. I love it. You know what I mean? This is crazy.
Pretty
This
nice.
is a whole world. And they would be able to say, you know what? Let's take 15. Let's roll with it. This analogy of 15 is saying, hey, now we are actually able to let you explore Niflheim. Now you can go over, and now Niflheim is blown up because we had the time to develop Final Fantasy 15 over in Insomnia only, establish the world, characters, plot, and all that other stuff. And then now you're able to explore all of Insomnia, all of Niflheim, and you basically, it's more. I don't want to say complete because I always say Final Fantasy 15 is a complete game. I love 15, but you get more. You get way more.
Yeah,
I'm on that side of things. I like that.
Yeah. No, that's actually a smart idea. At first, I hated it, but it's a smart idea, and it's very good development wise. Yeah.
I'm with you. I love that when they announced 16 and they said, "Hey, we believe in this game being one game. There's nothing that's going to, come before. There's no multimedia experience. You don't need a tertiary content or whatever the word is. Big words. You don't need the third thing. You don't need to go over there. You don't need to find anything else. You just need your entire experience is right here in this game." And I was like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, dude.
That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff right there. And I'm like, I was really excited about it, but I think this could benefit. All right.
No, that actually works well. And in between those games, you could actually bring out a book. People should read more.
I like that idea too. People can read more. I
actually want the Final Fantasy story, the Moss the Chronicler kind of story thing. I want that whole ass book, and I want to read it.
Let me read that. That would be amazing. And you could give me a book on the side to kind of flesh out other characters like Jill. I want to learn about Jill's time over in Drake's Breath, right over in the Iron Kingdom. I would love a book like that. If it benefits you, do that. It has nothing that will impact the story because I don't want that. I don't want a book that's on the side that's like, hey, you have to read this in order to understand what's going on here. Don't want that. But if it's like, hey, for those interested, here's a really good story about Jill and what she had to go through. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm in. I want to read that book.
Yeah.
Same. Gallagher says, bring out books, you say?
Damn straight. Yeah, I can't wait for his FF16 compilation. That's going to be great.
Yes. All right, so here... What kind of fantasy subgenre would you like Final Fantasy 17 to be? I tried my best, and I listed out a lot of fantasy
Yeah,
subgenres.
I see that
Yes,
list.
a very large amount of fantasy subgenres here. The number one response, surprisingly, with 19.5%. I guess I don't know if it's surprising. I just think it's surprising because it's kind of repeating. But high fantasy. So like high fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Epic, and stuff like that. Final Fantasy 6. Well, Final Fantasy 16 was high fantasy, but it was also like dark. You know what I mean? Like, it was also like maybe not grim dark fantasy, but no, it was definitely dark. But anyway, so. But maybe it's not that much. I don't know. Anyways, high fantasy, Lord of the Rings, epic stuff. And then you got 14% says space fantasy, like Star Wars, Mass Effect, things like that. So that was the number 2 response.
Xenoblade.
Yeah. Like I honestly, and I think that is the popular choice. And as much as Final Fantasy does love going to space, we love going to the moon and things like that, I think what if we started there? You know, like what if we started there? What if it is like, dude, Mass Effect, one of my favorite games of all time. I love Mass Effect. What if it was kind of like that kind of a space adventure, you know, big space fantasy? I think that would be cool. And I said space fantasy and then sci-fi because I wanted to separate like, hey, you know, I know they kind of go hand in hand. A lot of these do go hand in hand, but yeah, that was the number 2. The number 3 answer was tied with with dark fantasy, which is like H.P. Lovecraft and like kind of like unnerving and stuff like that, and then urban fantasy, which is I would say like Final Fantasy 15.
Final Fantasy 8 or 15,
yeah, exactly. Magic in a modern world type world. So yeah, those were the top responses, and then it kind of goes on from there. I even put romantasy in there. You know, it hasn't been done before. You know, let's go. Rated AO, baby.
I love Western fantasy. Never heard of that.
Western fantasy. What was that? What was the example?
Cowboys and magic.
Cowboys and magic, bro. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Nice. Yeah. I'm the fastest spellcaster in the West.
You just fire guy. That's great.
Nice. That'd be good though.
My mind is stuck on it. Like I'm picturing the black mages from like Final Fantasy 14. You know how it like takes them a long time to cast their spell. They're like, you know, but they got a rope at the end of their staff. You know, they light the rope on fire and then they lasso them in. Western fantasies.
Nice. Love that.
That would be kind of like Westworld. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Would that be like Westworld?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we anchored it down to something that people could. We stopped them thinking about mages with lassos, and we brought it back to like, oh, Westworld. That makes sense.
Well, okay, so those were the 3 people want high fantasy. You said, right? What do you want?
That's a good question. I think I'm with the. So I look at Final Fantasy. I look at all of the Final Fantasies, and the funny thing is if you look at my subgenre list, you can kind of match up some of these with other Final Fantasy games, and I think Final Fantasy actually does do this, where they're like, all right, we've done this before. Let's do this one. Let's do this one, and stuff like that. And I'm kind of thinking, I like the idea of either. I think that's wuxia fantasy, which is like martial arts and magic, which is kind of like Shang-Chi, which might be pretty cool.
That's so good, though.
I like that one, but my number 1 is space. I would love the space fantasy. I think that would be cool. We get like a Final Fantasy's take on Mass Effect. I think that would be awesome. So that's where I'm at. What about you?
Cool.
What about you?
I wish I could say. I think something in the future would be great, but with future settings, it has to be set up really well in order for you to be like compassionate for the entire world that's being set up. So that needs to be handled carefully.
Would you say that they would need active time lore?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But that'd be pretty cool. I think something that definitely a setting that hasn't been explored enough, but like a space fantasy kind of thing where you go to different worlds, different planets, and stuff like that. For example, where you then go to a planet with super weird beings that live in a steampunk world kind of thing, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is like Final Fantasy 9 in here, and people look kind of weird. They're all aliens basically, but they kind of look like Final Fantasy 9 characters, something like that. So that would be pretty funny, and if it would be on the funnier side as well, while also having dark as hell moments, that'd be pretty nice. I think that would be my favorite kind of mashup. So like a very elaborate space fantasy, basically. I'll be with you on that.
So that's actually a good point too, because I thought I had asked that somewhere else, but I didn't. So that's a good point. Where I think like bringing that dark Final Fantasy, like the stuff that 16 was doing, I want that to carry into 17. Like I would love that. Keep it rated M, and then like bringing in that dark stuff. But I do think like, hey, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth did a fantastic job of making me laugh. Like I literally laughed out loud a couple times, and I was just having a genuinely just fun time playing the game. And I think what we really need to do with 17, what we really need to do with 17 is find that blend, that perfect blend. Because I don't think Rebirth had the blend. I don't think it had the perfect blend. So Rebirth was it was too heavily on the funny, like comedic, like the relief and all that other stuff. Where, you know, you look back at 7 and you're like, oh yeah, that's what 7 is. You know, 7 is very much comic relief throughout and all this other stuff. But the original Final Fantasy 7 also had a lot of moments where it could breathe. Like the moment could breathe. Yeah. And whether that might be, you know, in relation to having to read the text boxes and like you dictate the pace of how that goes and all that other stuff, I do think it did have moments to breathe that were very serious moments, and it did not shy away from those serious moments. Whereas Rebirth was like, I know you're about to feel something, but don't worry. We got Palmer gonna smack his ass in just a second. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it, man. You're like, don't cry. You're gonna be fine. Yeah. We got the next action.
I was so sad about that.
The next action
here's a new mini game. Don't feel anything, son.
Here's a new mini. You're ride a dolphin. Exactly. So it's like we need to find that blend with 17. We need to find a moment where we're like 16, where like Clive is shackled and he's freaking naked because he's vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like he's, you know, like we're getting that whole imagery of everything. Like in like he's talking about end it now. You know, like just moments, man, that were so intense, and you were able to feel. With Rebirth, didn't really do that too much. So I want 17 to find that perfect blend, because I do want to laugh in 17. I do want, like, I mean, I laughed a little bit in 16, but I got it. It was very grounded, but I laughed when like with like Sid and Gav and stuff like that. They had some and then of course chuckles. The uncle. Come on, man. Uncle Byron. Loved Uncle Byron.
The best of the best. We all love Uncle Byron. Best uncle.
Exactly. So like 16 needs to could have benefited from a little bit more comic relief. Well, maybe not, because the story they were trying to tell. And then like
a little bit more comic relief though.
Give me a little more time with Gav and Sid.
Exactly. Drinking minigame.
And Goots.
Yeah.
Drinking minigame.
That'd be
that
so
could have
good.
worked. But all right, so I think that's important. We need to establish that blend. Let's see. Yeah. Some of these were text, like they had to submit their answers through text, and then so I'll kind of like go through them a little bit quickly. But I know we're getting close to almost 2-hour marker, and I don't want to keep you too long here, Vincent. So
it's fine. Okay. Don't worry.
Awesome. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate your time, Vincent. Appreciate your time.
Dude, it's easy. It's only like 1 a.m. my time. Almost. No, it's fine.
It's only 1 a.m.
It's fine.
I said, name one thing from a previous Final Fantasy that you would want to return in Final Fantasy 17. And then these are good little questions that could be in a feud, in a future feud. So I'm not going to give you the number one answer or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of give you something like, let's say, somebody says, oh, active time lore from Final Fantasy 16. So that.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Someone's response there. A job system or a job tree to let you plan and strategize how you build up certain skill sets. Yep. So jobs actually, okay, that popped up again, and then fun mini games like in Rebirth.
Yeah. A few.
Yeah. So that seems to be the little things like that. So mini games, jobs, and some like funny moments and stuff like that.
No one's going for the amazing Final Fantasy 9 equip your weapon, get the ability kind of thing system. I mean, they brought it back for Rebirth, funny enough. That was so cool. Mm-hmm. That was so cool.
The Final Fantasy 9, we got Final Fantasy 9's active time events. Is what somebody said. I was just scrolling through to see if anybody mentioned FF9 stuff, but yeah.
What was that again? Active time? It was just like quick time events, right?
Yeah, it was like quick time events, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, 16 had that.
yeah, 16 had that.
Name one thing from a game outside of the Final Fantasy series that you would want Final Fantasy 17 to adopt. Now, once
that
again,
is an amazing question.
Thank you. Yeah, once again, this is probably going to be on a feud, so I'm not going to give you the number one answers, but just kind of scrolling, I'm going to pick out, let's see, loyalty missions from Mass Effect 2. Did you play Mass Effect?
I played Mass Effect 1. I finished it actually, yeah, but I haven't played 2. I haven't finished 2 and 3.
See, I like this this response because Rebirth kind of did it. Like they did these not loyalty missions, but they were exclusive to the character, and if you do that, you build up their affection, their affinity points, and then you go on the date with them. So there was a little bit of a result of your actions type thing for doing these things. So, but in Mass Effect 2, it actually changed the ending. So this person says loyalty missions from Mass Effect 2 that change endings. So that could be pretty cool. Let's see.
Yeah, that's nice.
Somebody said they would love Rebirth combat with co-op, and I've been freaking screaming.
Oh my god,
I've been
that'd be
screaming
amazing.
it, bro. I mean, I've already gone into it. I've been screaming it, bro. I've been screaming it. Give me multiplayer.
We need co-op. A Final Fantasy game with a co-op.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like somebody comment on my video.
That would be a dream.
Somebody commented on my video and was like, "That's a dumb idea." I'm like,
who are you, Mr. No Friends?
come on, man.
Yeah.
Cool, dude.
Come at me.
It is actually a really good idea. Come on.
It is an amazing idea.
With FF7R, like Rebirth, can you imagine? Like,
that'd be so
everybody
good.
has their own materia loadouts. You have to coordinate with your friends. Like, you have to make sure, like, hey, I have the healing ability. You don't need to have healing on you. I got you. I'm going to play the role of this. You know, like, you do the DPS thing. I think that would be beautiful. It's
that'd be beautiful.
You put it in the battle arena, and then you just give them bosses to fight. Amazing. I already did it. It's right there for you, Square Enix. Please make it.
Oh my god, Strangers of Paradise has co-op. I did not know that.
Yes, the Stranger of Paradise has co-op. Yep.
Time to play that game. Good.
I mean, I'm on board. I need somebody to help me beat Chaos Mode. I need somebody to help me beat this Chaos difficulty. But yeah, no, I played it and I had a lot of fun with it, man. But the co-op makes it extremely easy. Like almost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Co-op makes that game really, really easy, unfortunately. But I haven't played it on Chaos Mode co-op. Maybe Chaos Mode might be like, hey, it's not easy. All right, so let's go on. What's your preference for a world map in Final Fantasy 17?
That is a question, man.
Mm-hmm. So
good question again.
Thank you. Here's my options. I'm gonna give you the options. I'm gonna let you answer first, and then I will give you the results of the poll of the survey.
Okay.
You actually probably have the options in front of you, maybe. But it's
yeah, I do.
Gated open world like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, a fully open world like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, meaning where you can go wherever you want. As soon as it starts, you go wherever you want. Large zones like Final Fantasy 16, PS1 style overhead camera overworld. Kind of like Dragon Quest 11 did, kind of like there was another game recently that did it. Metroidvania, interconnected worlds like Star Wars Jedi, God of War, things like that. Area selection, so like fast travel, like Final Fantasy X, for example, where you just kind of select where you want to go. Open world, like Dragon. Wait, no, this is actually that was a fan submitted one, where it was like open world like Dragon's Dogma, which is kind of like the fully open world like Tears of the Kingdom type thing. So, all right, so from there, what's your responses?
So, for FF17, I think we need to bring this back. I would actually say kind of like a PS1 style until you get the airship. And that's where shit goes wild. That's where you can like fly around and stop wherever you like, but you have this little bit more stylized globe kind of thing where you're on, and then you can practically land anywhere you want, and it has an effect and stuff like that. But I would like to have that where you can like fly around, like go at super speeds and have this cool world being stylized and being nice, and then you are having basically the time of your life in this airship. Not too simplified, not too PS1 style, don't think like that, but a little less detailed than what it is when you're actually outside of the airship.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah. That's interesting. So you do want that like overhead style, like where you can explore the entire globe type thing.
Yeah, okay. Kind of like that, but also like going into an entire like through an entire city and just say, okay, there's like this branch right there. I'll just go like along these buildings and then I'll land on top of this air hub right there because I can land my ship there, kind of like that.
All right,
just so you are able.
Okay, I'm on the same page. I want to make sure I'm on the same page here. Is this like Rebirth, in a way, like where Rebirth has it's all right there in the open world?
Yeah. It's like Rebirth actually,
like
because
Rebirth?
you couldn't control your airship though.
Not yet. That's got to be part 3.
It has to be part 3. Man. I will revolt if that wouldn't be the case.
Honestly, it needs it. I know they said in the Ultimania that that's the biggest challenge, like how do we handle the high wind, but they seem like they're like we gotta have the high wind. Like it's gotta be there.
Yeah. They set it up camera wise as well. It has to be in there. But like
so like that. Okay. So like
remake part 3.
It's like, hey, the world really isn't this condensed, but we are, for the fun of the game, like for to make it gamified, we are going to condense it. Like the grasslands, not that small, and you know what I mean. Like when like Midgar, like whenever it's a CG trailer, you can see at the beginning of the of any of the games, right? Like when we're flying above it and we see Midgar and like the big Midgar area. Yeah, that's not in the game. You know what I mean? Like the game, it's not that big. So like they definitely obviously condensed the world map so that way it's explorable all the way through, and it's gated. And like I call it gated open world just because like, hey, you get the grasslands first, then you go to the Junon region, and you can kind of go back and forth between those two.
Oh yeah.
And you got to go over here, and you're kind of exploring the world. And then Rebirth, it does that. It does what Final Fantasy, man. It's the magic. It's the magic sauce of like, hey, now you have the tiny Bronco. You literally can just go to any document around the world. And I'm like, that's what I really want. So I like
Legit.
that. I think 16 like did a great job of making you feel like you are in this gigantic world. Like Valencia is actually friggin' huge, because what they do is they give you like a section of the map. Like you're getting a little section of this, but you're not getting to explore everything, and you can look off and to see this beautiful vista of like just a landscape, and you're like, wow, this world is huge, especially in Echoes of the Fallen, where you're in the top of the tower and you're looking down, you're like, whoa. So the world is huge, and it does a great job of conveying that. But like I said, that's that magic of Final Fantasy, to have the gated open world. I think they should do that. Keep that going with Rebirth established. Keep it up. So
Nice.
the number one response to that was gated open world, with 63% saying that they wanted that. Basically 15% saying they wanted Final Fantasy 16's large zones, and then from there it just kind of falls apart with like 1 or 2 votes each. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it seems like the general consensus is that. I will say, I want Metroidvania aspects intertwined. I think Metroidvania, like, especially if we're doing space, like if we're going planet to planet, like give me something that's in Planet 1, like Planet 1 that's like, oh wow, there's a green door here and I can't open this green door until I go over here to Planet 6. I get the special ability to come back, and I love Metroidvania, like little dose of Metroidvania in there.
Yeah, it would be nice, like having a like a super hostile outer atmosphere of a planet, and you just can't go there with your ship until you have that ship upgraded. Like the outer hull needs to be like, it needs to wear a Varia suit kind of thing, and then you have like this upgraded ship, and you're going like, okay, now we can like go in there and then see what happens, and then you get messed up by the first mobs there.
That's how they do it. That's how they do the world travel. You have to upgrade your ship in order to travel further. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, we will make a cool space Final Fantasy, man.
In Final Fantasy 7, if Final Fantasy 17 could be any genre with RPG elements, what would you want it to be? So this is game genre, not story genre. So like we got below are a few examples. Feel free to add your own choice. And here's what I got. The number one response to it, I'm kind of curious if I should save these for feuds, but I mean, we're talking about it now, so let's just talk about it. The number one response being a strategic action adventure, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Basically, they want the strategic action adventure. Stylish action adventure was Final Fantasy 16 as the example, or like Devil May Cry and things like that. But the number one answer was strategic action adventure, and then from there on out, it kind of like falls apart. But I will say that only one person said they wanted a classic PS1 style. So classic PS1 RPG. Your thoughts on the difficulty in Final Fantasy games? I'm kind of curious because I personally feel that hard mode should be unlocked from the beginning.
Yeah.
I want to play the game on a harder difficulty. Yeah, like it's.
I want people to like walk into their own demise, kind of. Like give them nightmare difficulty, stuff like that, stuff that you should only play after you finish New Game Plus theoretically, and you can just have like someone go like, okay, I'll play Nightmare from the beginning, and then they'd be like, oh damn, this is as hard as Phantasy Star Online 2. Holy damn, Phantasy Star 2. Yeah, that was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game was so hard. Jesus. But yeah, something like that. I want that. It shouldn't be locked behind anything else. Like, difficulty should be there. It should be well balanced. That is a thing I hate the most, but it needs to be balanced well.
Yeah, and like I mean, like I think what they're doing, and this is the number one answer, 58.5% saying that it's perfect the way it is. You unlock hard mode, New Game Plus, and you got the accessibility rings of Final Fantasy 16, where people were saying, like, if you want it easier, just use these accessibility rings. And then, like, you kind of, like, take the training wheels off as you go, as someone said earlier. Where it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you kind of tailor the experience to how you want to play it. Like, Rebirth did a good job with the dynamic difficulty, which I actually think, after I played dynamic mode and I talked to other people, I think dynamic was actually easy.
Yeah, it was
easier. Yeah, it was an easier mode. Like, cause now you don't have to grind. Like you can literally. That started to click for me about halfway through the game, and I'm like, why am I fighting these random enemies? I can run past them. Like I don't need to do this. I learned my lesson though, because when you go to hard mode, it's like, hey, you better be 70 or higher. Freaking. And I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. But yeah, so there's
level 30. Yeah, that's not enough.
yeah, you can't fight. You're not gonna compete. But yeah, so like I totally. I think that the dynamic mode was actually easy mode, but they give you the option of dynamic. They give you the option of easy, normal, dynamic, or something like that. And I think that's cool. And the way Rebirth works is you should play the game first so you can master everything that you need. And I love what Rebirth does. Like, even Remake did it. Even the bosses that you fight are going to be a little bit different, and you're going to need full repertoire. You know, you're going to need everything. So it makes sense. I like what they got now, so it works out good. I just think they should be a little more difficult, especially if you're going with the Final Fantasy 16 route. Like, Final Fantasy 16, in my opinion, was too easy. It was like Final Fantasy mode was like, this is what the game should be. Like, this is how the game should play. But yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it would benefit, like, if we're going back to FF16 for a little second, it would have benefited so hard from a similar, balancing compared to FF7 Rebirth, because you had the weaknesses and stuff like that, but also different patterns and what these different kind of hits they are damage resistant to. So you need to pay attention, like, where you're attacking and stuff like that. It was not enough in FF16, in my opinion, in order to give me, like, proper fun. I was just, like, slashing away at these enemies. We're going to be like, I'm just going to, I'm going to finish you in style. Get wrecked.
Yeah, get wrecked.
Whatever you are.
So, like, with that being the main focus of it, that's where I was like, Final Fantasy mode should have been from the get-go. Because if the main focus is stylish, reflex-based, like, you need to dodge out of the way, you need to do this, I think they should have upped the difficulty, like, to say, like, hey, here's a hard mode for those who are into action games. Here's what you want to play. That for sure. That my thoughts on that were, I think if you're going the 16 route of more action focused, you gotta cater to the audience who's more into action games. Like, these are the games that they play, so we need to make it harder. This is a good one. This is a good one here, man. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm surprised on the answer. I'm surprised.
Okay.
Yeah. Your preference of a Final Fantasy 17's main character, and I asked for gender, right? Like, I asked I asked for human male, human female, human non-binary, non-human male, non-human female, non-human non-binary, and I kind of wanted to see what people thought. What do you want, Vincent Fallow?
Good question. I do love me some relatability. That is important. So as long as the story is amazing, it doesn't matter what I'm playing as, because I've played every single game under the sun, kind of like every kind of possible character you could have. To me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as the story is good.
I'm right there with you too. Like, I mean, I'm right there with you too. As long as the writing is good for the characters and the characters are the focus and everything, doesn't matter. I'm with you on the relatability. I'm always going to say I like to give me a human male, because I want to personify myself into that character. That's just my preference. And Clive, I was like, dude, I could cosplay Clive. Like, I kind of a little bit. I got black hair. I got I can make the beard work. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, you want my armor? I can lend it to you.
Don't say things that you don't mean.
Oh yeah, right. No. It would need to be adjusted. We have different builds.
Oh my god. I'm looking at that with those pictures that you posted. I'm like, oh god, you know how awesome you would feel in that thing? I gotta bring up those pictures too, but no, I'm sure that has to be custom fitted.
It was.
But yeah, man, like, that would
to
be,
the inch.
I love Clive, and then also Clive was in his 30s, and I'm like, hell yeah, it was working perfectly for me. But the number one answer, or the answer was 58.5%. Well, human female. So it's time for Final Fantasy to return to the female protagonist. And there's only been 2, right? Like, Terra.
Yeah, we got Terra, we got Lightning.
Like, as the main protagonist.
As the main.
And it's almost like 6.
And Yuna in FF6 too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, does that
Remember
count?
What I said about that one?
Yeah,
You remember what I said about that? But yeah, no, like I'm on board. I think Lightning was freaking awesome. And then the funny thing about that is that those two protagonists are like the strongest in the whole freaking series. We got like a half god and then like a literal goddess. But but yeah, so that was an interesting response there. I think everybody's ready for a human female. So cool.
Damn.
Yeah. No, I also kind of followed that question up with your preference of the main character's age. So
they should be infants. 2-month-old.
Death Stranding, like
They just can't do shit. They're just like, you can press X to shit your pants.
Leviathan's dominant. You can you get to play as Leviathan's dominant. Final Fantasy 16 2. Here you go.
But that is interesting. I'm excited what they are saying because I have an idea that would be pretty nice.
Okay. I'm kind of curious what that idea would be. For me personally, I'll answer first before reading the results. Personally, like I said earlier, where I was like, I'm in my 30s. You know, I want a character in his 30s, like I had with Clive. Obviously, whatever the story dictates and everything like that, I want a parent. I want a parent. That came out really bad. Like, I love my parents. I love my parents. I wouldn't be a parent, right? In Final Fantasy, give me the role of a father or a mother. Right? Like, give me the role of, like, I want to take that role now. Like, like, God of War kind of already did it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
that was pretty good, though.
Yeah, but give me Final Fantasy's take. I want that kind of stuff. But, like, I kind of want, 30s or 40s. Like, I want to be King Regis. You know, like, I want to be, not the 2D side-scroller. Get Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, no. Like,
I played that game too often. Jeez.
I know, right? Yeah. It's like I consumed everything 15. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of in that area. For me, I want a story because I'm a father, so I kind of want that to relate to me. So I'm super biased. So yeah, what about you, man? Where are you at with this?
I'll be at 50s or over 60. If we go with the female protagonist, like the ones voted.
Okay.
I want that because that would be very, very nice to play as the protagonist. Mm-hmm. Because one, your stats will probably not be as high, you'll not be as strong as the others. But you have, like, gameplay wise, you could play that out super well with, I don't know, if we go with a space fantasy setting, like with some exosuit or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But also, on the other hand, you would be dependent on the other party members as the main character to a degree, which is nice. And you could play. You could have a lot of interesting storytelling things. Let's say the main character has already lost 2 children and needs to cope with that, and has the, I don't know, for example, there's these like connection issues to other people or stuff like that, and generational disconnection because you're just way too old. You don't get it.
Yeah, the older you
stuff
get,
like that.
There's like that. So the disconnect between, like, what's going on with the younger party members and stuff. That's a good one too. But, like, you're talking about tragedy and loss and everything. The older you get, the more you've been through. Like, like, this character could be through a whole lot. You give the first time in Final Fantasy, I think, where you maybe get to play as the king, like you are, or the queen, right? You are the one that's in charge, type thing. I'm trying to think back. Yeah. Like, it almost sounds like that happened. No, that hasn't happened before, right? Not in Final Fantasy, like, where you play as, besides, like, Prince Noctis, but he wasn't in power yet.
He was a no one. He was just like a snotty.
That was a
ass
coming of
prince.
age story, right? Yeah, he was a coming of age story until he was at the end. Come to me! I was like, that was a come to me Freet moment. You know, like, Kings of Lucius, come to me. Oh man.
Yeah, that was so good. That was so cool. Yeah, but yeah, something like that. And then, for example, like rekindling and a flame that almost, went out. Kind of, when you're old and you're, like, keeping to yourself and stuff like that, but then you're forcefully connected to other people, and you kind of find this spark again that, life isn't over no matter how old you are and stuff like that. So these these kind of things would be very, very nice. Like these values would be very, very nice to be, shown in a game.
It'd be really unique too to Final Fantasy. But the number one answer was 61% was 20s. We want to go back to the 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going back to the 20s.
We're going back to the 20s. Yeah, I mean, Clive started out in his 20s, if you want to give it. But we'll go back to the 20s. We got 31% saying keep, the 30s. So those are the two answers, 20s and 30s. And then there was, two people said teens. One person said 40s. So,
I am so alone with my view.
Is that you? Is that you that said 40?
Nah.
But I think I'm with you more than anything. Where I'm like, I want that older, wiser, been through a whole lot. I know we got that a little bit with Clive, but now we're talking even older. We're talking about playing as Sid. You're playing as Sid. Like you are the Sid. And I had thought about that in my mind. I was like, oh man, they could name the main character Sid. And then I was like, gotta be done. Wait a second, my bad. Let me go back. That kind of happened, didn't it? So would you rather create your own main character? And I'm proud.
Never ever.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of the audience. 90% said no. So,
very good.
Yeah, I was like,
very good.
I'm glad that was, because I know like Baldur's Gate being so popular and like everybody was like looking to that saying, oh, here's the new king, this is what RPG should be. I was like, oh man. And then Dragon's Dogma has a creative character and all these. I'm like, don't do that with Final Fantasy. Like, I love being able to recognize a main character silhouette. Just like that's my main character. You know what I mean? I like that. I'm proud of everybody. 90%. Thank you for that.
Well done.
Well done. And we kind of talked about this a little bit of like naming something that Rebirth did better than 16, what 16 did better than Rebirth. So I won't go through too much of this, but I will say basically the general consensus is what we've already said. 16 did like the epic cinematic experience, like the epic summit fights, and we got the active time lore and world building was actually something that people have said quite a lot, like the tone and the lore system, active time lore. So no, I actually kind of have to agree, where I'm like, I think 16 created, and that's kind of weird, right? Like 7 already has something to build off of, but I think 16 didn't have anything to build off of. But man, like the lore going to what's her name? The girl at the hideaway.
Oh yeah. She has a different name in German.
Oh, sorry. I can't remember.
I think Vivian.
Vivian, yes, that's her name. That's her name. Going to Vivian and getting like the whole rundown of what's going on in the world. I'm like, dude, this is
so good.
It's freaking cool. So I love that, and I love that it was, you have all of these different kingdoms, and like they have their own thing going on, and it's just that was cool. I think 16 did do a better job on like lore, and then of course I think 16 did a better job on conveying a more mature story. Something that allows the time to breathe. That was what we talked about a little earlier. And let those moments breathe. And then I said name one thing that Rebirth did better than 16. A lot of people say the combat. So this is basically what we've talked about. Party members and combat. Mini games was in there as well. But so I think... Oh, and then I will read this one because I think that's true. The overall world design of like what we talked about, gated open world. So basically the reason why I asked those two questions was it's right there in the title of the podcast. Final Fantasy 16 plus Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth equals Final Fantasy 17. So after everything that we talked about today, we can kind of craft the perfect Final Fantasy 17. Ready for this? You ready for this?
Yes.
Here we go. So to craft the perfect Final Fantasy 17, we have a high fantasy space adventure. It is mature.
Yeah.
It is a mature high fantasy space adventure with gated open world design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works, I guess.
Yeah. Because that doesn't work, because we're going to space.
No, it doesn't. Damn, it's falling apart already.
You're like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, dude, yeah.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, no, that doesn't actually work, actually. But we made that work a little bit, where we were like gated by the fact you need to upgrade your ship to get further.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're back on track. We're back on track.
Okay, we're back on track.
Yeah, we're back on track. Right.
What else do we have?
It's going to be a strategic game, so like we're gonna have to have more elemental strengths and weakness. We got to have a party involved. We got to have equipment loadouts and things that we want to spend time in the menus for this game. We want to go back to that system. It doesn't matter whether it's Final Fantasy 17 or Rebirth style combat, but we need to iterate upon one of them and just get this game going. You know what I mean? So there it is.
Yeah.
We build upon one of them because we discovered that it doesn't really matter. Like, as long as we take 16 and we add party and we add strengths and weaknesses and loadouts and stuff like that, we're good to go. And we got the main character is going to be a human female, and she's going to probably be in her 20s, right? Based on this survey. But hey, you know what? God of War did the father. Why give me the role of the mother?
We get the mother.
Mother's role, dude.
Yeah.
Hell hath no fury. You know what I mean? Like a mother scorned, bro. Come on.
Nice. That'd be like the limit break. Mother scorned. It's pretty badass, though.
I like that. And there you go. We've kind of crafted that adventure. We've crafted.
I played.
Of course, very, very important that it is written by Ishikawa.
Oh yeah, nice. I hope
The
so.
woman who penned the script for the story for Shadowbringers and Endwalker. So that is fantastic. I think this was a lot of fun, man. This was fun.
It really was. We crafted a pretty good Final Fantasy 17. I would play it.
Yeah.
I would definitely play that.
Man, there's so much to talk about. Like, we talked for 2 hours and 12 minutes. I wasn't expecting that, man. I appreciate you. We have a lot to talk about, man. I'm so happy to have you back on the show. It's always an absolute joy to, like, because we got this energy, man, and I freaking love it. I love that energy.
Nice. I mean, you're the warrior of hype. I'm just trying to match it. That's all I do.
The warrior of hype is nothing without. You know what I mean? Like, you're my crystal, bro.
Oh, bro. that should be on a wedding ring or something. That's pretty nice. You're my crystal, bro.
Bro.
No, it was a pleasure. It was a blast. This did not feel like 2 hours. This felt like half an hour. So it was amazing. It was amazing.
Thanks. And then, like, for everybody watching right now, where can people get more Vincent Fallow?
Oh yeah, time to plug my stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're good at German, I guess. Yeah. But every Sunday at 6 p.m. German time, for 4 hours, we're playing Final Fantasy 14. Me and Tony Michael Sattler, and he's the German voice of Dion. So it's Clive and Dion in Final Fantasy 14, and we're playing. We're dubbing the entire thing. We're playing story. We're playing some raids and stuff like that. But we are sticking to the story and whatever we need to unlock. But it's very, very funny. We are having a blast. We're taking the piss out of some of these characters. It's amazing. It's very, very nice. But apart from that, just check me out on social media. You can find me as Vincent Fallow on Twitter, on Instagram, and TikTok maybe, but I don't post content that often there. But yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Everybody stick around for just a moment, because what I want to do is I want to bring up this incredible cosplay that Vincent Fallow did. Yeah, I want to put that on. I want to put this on the streets. Stick around, chat. You guys have anything that you guys want to say? Any questions before we head out? Let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're
meanwhile, while we're waiting, I
Yeah.
will plug the creators of the cosplay because that was not done by one person. It was done by Tingilia. She did the entire crafting part for the corset and the pants and stuff like that, and the chainmail. And we have Kami Zero, who did the makeup and the wig and the tattoo that I also have, and stuff like that. So that was a jolly co-op sponsored by Square Enix. So thank you, Square Enix Germany, for using all your marketing funds for that. I hope it was worth it.
Oh man,
It was worth it for me, though.
Oh, this is so cool, dude. I brought it up on stream for everybody to see. The cosplay is perfection. Like it's freaking.
Yeah, thank you.
It's perfection. It looks just like the character for the game. I showed my wife actually, and she went, "Oh, I thought that was a screenshot." She thought that was a screenshot from the game. But yeah, there's a lot. Here's a full body one. This gets the feet involved and everything.
Yeah. I was working out very hard for that cosplay, and now I'm just like not doing that anymore, and I'm not as brown anymore, like suntanned. It's gone, but that's fine.
There it is. Look at that. You also dehydrated, you said, right? Yeah. Like that.
Oh yeah. It was intense. I had to eat like 14 pills a day, and then before we did the shooting, I had to dehydrate myself. So you do carb loading first, so it's only carbs. You eat like rice waffles and honey a little bit, but you eat like a ton of that, and then you drink like half a liter a day maximum, and on the day of shooting you drink nothing, and that's then you look like that. So but there's also like armor and stuff like that, but yeah.
Wow. Damn, man, that's crazy. I would pass out.
It was rough. I was that was like the thing we're standing on there. Yeah. I think that is the big rock. There's a big rock where we shot the promotional video for it as well, which was also my idea. Same as with the cosplay and stuff like that. Yeah. But to get on there, that thing is like 5 meters high or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's that's some height in feet. It's very, very high for like walking on there with cosplay, like in full gear and stuff like that, because you cannot fully bend your knees and stuff like that. But we managed to like climb on there, and mad props to the cosplay workers on that. It's actually viable. I can beat people with that in that cosplay.
That's awesome, dude. I just brought up all these pictures. It seems like everybody in chat is thinking the same thing. It's freaking cool, dude.
Nice.
I love it. So thank you so much for doing that, and also thank you so much for being on this show. I think this is where we're going to wrap it up, Vincent.
Yeah.
You were awesome as always. You're my crystal bro.
You're my crystal bro.
I want to get that.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
I want to get that on shirt.
Yeah, please. We need that. Matching shirts. You're my crystal bro.
Much love to you and your crystal bros, is what Kalia says. To the crystal bros.
We're all crystal bros.
We're all crystal bros. All right, y'all. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Vincent, once again. Thank you, everybody in chat, for tuning in and keeping up with chat. It's been so fun. I'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Take care. Thank you, chat. Have a great evening. I'm going to pass out.